Hello and welcome to our workshop for this month, supporting your LGBTQ youth or teen. I am Jennifer Rijardo and I will be your instructor for this workshop. Chances are, if you are here viewing this workshop, you have an LGBTQ youth or teen in your life. LGBTQ stands for lesbian, gay, bisexual, transsexual, or queer. The truth is that having an LGBTQ teen in your life can be a wonderful experience. Our children are unique and multifaceted individuals, and as they learn about themselves, we get to learn about them alongside them. Their identity should be honored and celebrated. However, many LGBTQ youth have unique challenges and obstacles, and it's our job as the adults and caregivers in their lives to come alongside them and help them to navigate those obstacles. This workshop will help equip you with tools to help your child and the rest of your family, and we hope that it gives you a wider perspective on the challenges facing the LGBTQ community today. First, we will start with some facts about LGBTQ youth. Okay, first we'll go into statistics. So many parents who find out that their children identify as LGBTQ worry that their children will face unnecessary hardships. And there's a reason for that. These fears are not unfounded. It is true that LGBTQ youth and teens are at higher risk for certain mental health and societal risks. As this graph shows you, for lesbian, gay, bisexual, and queer youth, the risks of being forced out of their home or running away, having family issues, aging out of foster care, experiencing abuse at home, family poverty, and suicidality are quite high. And this, in comparison to non-LGBTQ youth, is substantial. It's substantially higher. And then when we take a look at trans youth, they experience even higher risks than their lesbian and gay peers. So it is not unfounded or unusual to worry that LGBTQ teens are at a high risk, and that they might have some difficult obstacles in front of them. The good news, however, is that parents who have positive reactions to their children revealing their LGBTQ identity, who have a high level of acceptance of their teens, this creates a strong protective factor. Research shows that the level of acceptance an LGBTQ child receives from their parents is directly correlative to the amount of risk they face in comparison to their heterosexual peers. LGBTQ youth who experience a high level of parental acceptance of their sexual preference or their identity are at a very low risk of things like suicidality, substance abuse, homelessness, and other mental health disorders. However, as a parent's level of acceptance of their child decreases, we see these risks dramatically increase. There's a reciprocal relationship there. So a child who experiences very low levels of acceptance is actually at an 8-fold risk of suicidality and other mental health illnesses compared to the child who received high levels of acceptance. So you can see that parental acceptance plays a huge role in protecting LGBTQ youth. So your input and the way that you react is extremely important. And the rest of this workshop will help equip you with some tools to have the most positive impact on your child's experience. Okay. Next, we will talk about what to do when your child comes out. So it's possible that you are expecting your child to come out. You have maybe been just observing that your child has some different traits or interests than their heterosexual peers, and you're anticipating that your child might come out to you soon. Or your child has already come out to you, and that is what has led you to this workshop. And the next portion of this workshop will prepare you either way. Okay. First of all, what to do when your child comes out. Okay. The first thing you need to do is to listen. Try to refrain from immediately sharing your thoughts and opinions. It's likely that it has taken a lot for your child or teenager to decide to have this conversation with you. So please give them the space to tell you everything that's on their mind to whatever extent they're comfortable with. When you demonstrate that you're a safe place for them to share all parts of themselves, it is much more likely your child will continue to come to you in the future for support. Next, pause. Pause, especially if you think you might have a negative or harmful reaction. It is best to wait until you have processed this new information if it's coming as a shock or a surprise to you. Let your child know in the meantime that you're happy they chose to share this information with you and that you just need some time to process it. You don't have to say much more, but it's helpful if you let them know when you might be able to have this conversation in the near future. Share your feelings with theirs in mind. Your child does want to know how you feel about this. They'll appreciate if you are honest, but also considerate and using respectful language and communication. Use words of encouragement and affirmation. Let your child know that you love them no matter what, that you are proud of who they are, and there are no conditions on your love and acceptance of them. And finally, educate yourself. Find the appropriate resources to learn about the LGBTQ community and how you can best support your child. At the end of this workshop, we're going to share several organizations that are specific for parents of LGBTQ youth and also other adults in their lives. Try to make connections with other parents and bring resources to your child as the need arises. Okay. Next, we will go into some FAQs or frequently asked questions that parents often have when they discover that their children identify as LGBTQ. Okay. Why is my child gay, or bi, or pan, or queer, or somewhere else on the LGBTQ spectrum? So, first and foremost, parents do not make their children gay. There's no credible research that says that sexual preference or gender identity is determined by parenting style or attitudes. LGBTQ children come from homes of every type of background. A parent's role is not to shape their child's sexuality or gender, but to model acceptance and pride in who they are. Okay, second frequently asked question, how should I respond? And this is in general to your child's sharing of their identity, or when your child specifically comes out for the first time. Okay, here are our tips. Number one, lead with love. It might seem all obvious, but always remind your child that your love for them is unconditional. They do not have to work to earn it, and they do not have to fit into a certain mold to receive it from you. Speak with your child about their LGBTQ identity. Keep the dialogue open with your child to let them know that you want to know everything about them that they're willing to share. This can only strengthen your relationship and leave the door open for more communication in the future. Support their gender identity and gender expression, even if it makes you feel uncomfortable. If you are feeling uncomfortable having these conversations, spend some time privately processing why this is awkward for you. Do this work separately from your child in order to shield them from potentially feeling secondary shame. This is incredibly important. You might want to do this work alone, with a friend, or even with a therapist or another mental health professional. Connect them with an LGBTQ role model. Teens and youth who have a positive example of LGBTQ adulthood are much more likely to envision themselves as well-adjusted adults and take actions that bring them down a positive path. And again, express your love unconditionally. They should not have to work to receive your love. Our next frequently asked question. This is often how this question is phrased. My son likes to wear dresses and play with dolls, or sometimes my daughter likes to dress masculinely and is not interested in dolls or typically feminine activities. What does this mean? Does this mean that my child is gay? So it might mean that they are LGBTQ, or it might not. It might mean that they are just exploring their identity, that they're playing and expressing who they are. But do your best to allow your child this time of exploration. Leave the door open for positive, honest conversation. By doing so, it's more likely they will continue to communicate with you as they begin to understand themselves and develop their identities more clearly, regardless of what they come to understand about themselves. Okay, a hot button issue. What if my child's sexuality conflicts with my faith? This one comes up a lot and can be extremely difficult to navigate. So, regardless of your faith or personal beliefs, if you are here seeking out more information about your LGBTQ child, chances are what you want most of all is for them to be healthy, happy, and secure. Even if our personal beliefs as a parent conflict with our child's behaviors or their expressed identity, they still need to experience our unconditional love and acceptance. Although it may seem like a contradiction, you can still uphold your spiritual or religious beliefs and demonstrate acceptance for your LGBTQ child. Your unconditional positive regard for them will help give them the best chance of developing positive self worth and guarding against many different kinds of mental health crises. Okay, finally, we are going to talk about some resources for yourself as the parent or guardian of an LGBTQ teen or youth, for your child themselves, and if you are an educator who would like to support LGBTQ youth in your classroom and beyond, we have some resources for you too. Okay. Parents and family members of LGBTQ youth can support their children by educating themselves and finding a good support network. PFLAG is one of the oldest and largest organizations for LGBTQ people and their parents, families, as well as allies. There are nearly 400 chapters nationwide, more than 250,000 members, and PFLAG recognizes what we have already touched upon in this workshop, that all research points to parental acceptance being one of the most important factors for LGBTQ youth to thrive. This organization has paved the way in many ways for the rights that the community enjoys today. They still work tirelessly in advocating for policy change and protections. Strong Family Alliance has a simple mission: to save lives and preserve families by supporting parents and children coming out. Their resources support parents through their child's coming out process and beyond. And they also have additional resources for youth. Okay, resources for teens. The Trevor Project offers crisis services as well as counseling for LGBTQ youth. And they offer this for free 24/7 year round. There are chat, text, and hotline services. They're 100% confidential and also 100% free. The It Gets Better Project is a global nonprofit that reaches millions of young people each year through inspiring media programming, educational resources, and international affiliates. The Youth Pride Association, also known as the YPA, works to advocate for LGBTQ youth and educate and promote acceptance in school settings. They offer support groups as well as models for school policy. And finally, for educators, when LGBTQ youth hear their stories in their classrooms, they feel validated and understood. These resources are for teachers and administration looking to support their LGBTQ students in the classroom and in the wider school community. GLSEN, the acronym is GLSEN, believes that every student has the right to a safe, supportive, and inclusive K-12 education. They're a national network of educators, students, and local GLSEN chapters working to make this right a reality. It's a great resource for educators who want to reduce the incidence of bullying in their classrooms and schools, as well as promote inclusive and an accepting environment for all students. Our Family Coalition offers educational resources for teaching about LGBTQ history and culture. Their website offers lesson plans for teachers and curriculum, as well as history timelines and other implementation tools. This is a fairly local organization based in the Bay Area. I hope that you enjoyed this workshop and that it gave you a wider perspective of how LGBTQ youth and teens can be supported, and that you yourself walk away from this with a few more resources. Thank you so much.